Hello,
hey everyone!
happy Friday, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're joining us here on Facebook or if you're joining us on YouTube, thank you so much. It's Steph and Danny from WDW Magazine, and we're here today to talk all things Disney Galactic Starcruiser.
Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser.
Oh,
boy.
At Disney World.
This is going to be a really fast hour-long talk because we could honestly probably talk to you for hours or days or weeks about how our experience was on Galactic Starcruiser. But if you have questions about it, please drop them down in the comments because we will try to get to all of them. And if we don't get to any of them in this live broadcast, we'll be monitoring those. Maybe you're watching on replay. We'll monitor. We'll go back and answer as best we can. So if you don't know us already, hi, I'm Stephanie. I'm the CEO of WDW Magazine, and Danny here is our creative director. We're very lucky because we've actually been over to Galactic Starcruiser 2 times now. Earlier in February, or I guess late February, we were invited to a 4-hour media preview. You might have seen some of our coverage on the blog, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube by now from that event, where we got to tour around, see some things, talk to some cast members, and find out all sorts of juicy tidbits about how Galactic Starcruiser works. But then in March, we had actually already purchased and planned a Galactic Starcruiser voyage of our own that we really want to share with you.
Months and months ago, basically as soon as they announced Starcruiser, we knew that this was something that Steph and I really wanted to do.
Even though we didn't really know what it was yet.
No, but we love Star Wars, and we were so intrigued by this new idea, this new kind of immersive experience. We knew we had to do it. After we got that little 4-hour media preview, we were even more excited. So we booked the trip. We came down. We were there late March.
It was actually over Danny's born day, which is how you say birthday in Star Wars talk. But spoiler alert, I know many of you are planning voyages or you're curious about possibly planning a voyage on the Starcruiser. If you are trying to avoid spoilers the way you might for a movie or a new ride, I would not continue watching this video. However, I think you should continue watching this video. I really advocate against spoiler-free Starcruiser voyages because there is so much to take in, and there's so much to understand about how the process works. I don't think that you'd get the same experience. You don't have to know about every single detail, every single storyline. We're not going to spoil everything, but I think doing your research before Galactic Starcruiser to know what you're getting into and understand the process that everything follows is going to only enhance your journey. So let's start talking about what this is and what it's not.
Okay, so here's the thing. Starcruiser is a brand new kind of entertainment experience. It is like things you've experienced before. In some ways, it is like a cruise vacation. It is like a stage show. It is like an escape room, but it's not any of those things.
There's a lot of misconception. A lot of people in the media started calling it the Star Wars Hotel years ago when it was announced. And yeah, it's a hotel in that there's a bed that you get to sleep in. There's a restaurant. There's a gift shop.
Thematically, it is Star Wars, but it's not a themed hotel the way Art of Animation has a Cars themed hotel.
It's much more similar to a cruise where it's mostly all inclusive. You have a structured schedule. There's a port of call, but there's no water. You're not actually moving anywhere.
You're also not actually going to space.
They're very clear about this. You are not actually going to space. You will just be in a building here on Earth.
You're in Orlando. It's near Hollywood Studios.
And it is there are LARPing elements. There's online RPG gaming elements. Like Danny said, there's like live theatrical elements, improv. There's nothing else that we can compare it to in the entertainment field at this point in time that I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
But like I said, put things in the comments and we'll try to answer them as best we can. We're going to keep this moving along really fast because we have so much to talk about. So let's talk about bookings, add-ons, arrival, and departure. So
This is a little more complicated than booking a regular Disney vacation. There's a dedicated number for Starcruiser bookings, and you really have to do this on the phone speaking to a live agent.
You cannot book online. There is a very good Starcruiser portal on the regular Disney World website where you can find out a lot of information and like general price points, but they do not tell you the price point for every single voyage date. They're like, prices starting at this.
Yeah.
Now, every single date is every 2 days. A new voyage starts. So you're kind of locked in with those like 400 people on your voyage for those 2 days. You all arrive at the same time, you all leave at the same time, just like a cruise. And online, it'll tell you what dates are available to depart on a voyage, but until you call in and tell them what date you want to go, you're not going to know the price. You need to have many dates available that you might want to go, particularly if you want to add on captain's table or have a certain type of cabin. There's 3 different kinds of cabins. Captain's table is an add-on you can add on to one of your dinners in the Crown of Corellia dining room.
When you make your booking, you need to know what of this is most important to you. If you have dates that are important, but captain's table isn't available, you're going to have to decide, is captain's table worth finding new dates for my voyage, or are these dates my dates that I need to do?
Also, if you want to book Ogas or Savvies or Droid Depot for your time on Batuu, you also need to do it with the Starcruiser number. Depending on when you book your voyage, you might be able to book it at the time of booking your voyage, or you might have to call in 60 days before your voyage to do those. You cannot book these in MDE on your own. I mean, you can, but that would be a big mistake.
The reason to do it through the Starcruiser booking is, like we've said, you're part of a specific journey. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to take the time to do these additional experiences, it's important that your itinerary is updated and they're folded in into the correct time slots.
Yeah, otherwise you might have something on the ship like bridge training overlapping with your OGA's reservation, let's say. Yeah. Also, if you want to book the Chandrilla Starline portrait sessions, which we're going to show you some photos of that. This is a special like photo pass private portrait experience that you can do on board. It's really cool. Like I said, I'll show you some of those in just a moment. But that is something that you're going to want to book at the time of your booking your whole reservation as well. Now, I called in to see what the experience was like to book it myself, even though I usually use Destinations to Travel. And thankfully, I was able to transfer my reservation to my normal agent, Casey. She's awesome over at Destinations to Travel. All the agents there are awesome. I strongly recommend you book with them. But I wanted to see so that I could report back to you. I was on the phone for 8 hours to book.
I will say,
don't do it.
We were phoning on day one as soon as reservation. So we have annual passes. So that was when our window opened up a little bit ahead of general public, but still
that was insane. Yeah. I transferred it to Casey. Captain's table was not available when we booked, but Casey called in on the day that the full payments were due and people canceled. And so she got us into Captain's table. She got us into the CSL portrait experience, which is cool. Hey, let's show some photos from the CSL portrait experience.
For sure.
This is us. This isn't from the portrait experience. This is just normal PhotoPass.
A note about PhotoPass. There are PhotoPass photographers roaming around on the ship. And just like when you're in the theme parks, there might be a line, there might not be a line. Go over, say hi. They scan your magic band, take some photos. They show up in your
holo scans.
Yes, in the Star Wars universe, photos are referred to as holo scans.
But you can do this 30-minute session. Right now, it's $99. That could change in the future. But they will take you to areas around the ship and do photos like this one of Danny in the climate simulator, this very cool one in Sublight Lounge. They bring special lighting in. This one of us on the bridge, they actually have a special blue light that they were shining on us. And you can book these at times. My suggestion would be to book like from noon to 2 on the second day, or very late at night on the first day if that's available. You want to do this when not a lot of people are around and not a lot of story elements are happening.
We received about 50 or 52 photos from our portrait session. You're not guaranteed a specific number. You go with 30 minutes. There's a photographer and an assistant. They will take you all around the ship. You can make requests about where you want to go, the types of photos you want to do. All the photos get an additional layer of touch-ups and editing, and they really are a cut above the standard PhotoPass photos.
So once you're actually on board, once you're booked and you're paid everything, you arrive at Disney World and you're actually going to be on board. What is the arrival procedure like? Well, you cannot arrive, well, they tell you cannot arrive before 12:30, and that is when we arrived. But
we've read mixed reports online. Guests who arrive too early are usually directed to Disney Springs, and then there is a shuttle bus service from Disney Springs back. So
you're not allowed to just show up and hang out. But when we got there at 12:30, there were over 100 people in line already. So you can actually get onto Starcruiser at 1 p.m. on your arrival day, and you must leave by 12 a.m. on your departure day.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. I need more coffee, or black calf, as they would say in Star Wars. So we got there 12:30, hoping to be in at 1. We weren't in until about 1:30. The first thing they're going to do is give you, want to show this off? They're going to give you a magic band. It's a special magic band. They won't mail this in advance. You get it when you arrive. And they take you to your room when you arrive so that they can double check that everything's working, because this is a very big part of your trip. You're constantly scanning into things. They will also take your luggage from you. You won't be bringing the luggage up by yourself. When you get to your cabin, it will already magically be there. So basically, you join a queue just like in a theme park, and you wait until you can go in. They take a few families in at a time because there's a small waiting area, I'll show you, where you actually watch a safety video, much like a theme park attraction, and then you board a launch pod, which looks like this, with a few other families. I don't know exactly how many people it holds, maybe 12 or so.
Yeah, 10 or 12 people were in our pod.
These little blue windows that you can see at the top, they actually, once you're in the launch pod, you can see outside, and you can see it's a sunny day and there are trees and whatever, and then you watch as you ascend up into space and the Starcruiser. So if you've been to Space 220, it's kind of similar to that idea.
Kind of.
It is a different execution, but it's the same kind of idea. And then you're on the Starcruiser, and you arrive at the Atrium, and like I said, they'll meet you, they'll escort you to your room, make sure that everything is ready to go and working, and then you can start your journey. When you're leaving, there is you have to be off by 10 a.m. They really do rush you off, much like a cruise ship.
Yeah, it's a polite and gentle but firm call for everyone to exit. Mm-hmm. You can place your luggage outside of your room in advance, which is just nice. It's easier. You don't have to deal with moving your bags around. Yeah. You can bring them off with you, but it's not like when you get off a cruise ship and it's a bit of a headache to collect your bags at the port. It was very easy. They're right there.
Now, what I will say is if you're arriving by valet, it's easy, or by car, it's easy. You drive up, hand off your keys, valet park your car. When you're ready to leave, they'll bring it back to you. Don't leave anything in your car that you need, though, because it's not, you can't just leave the hotel. They take your car away and park it somewhere else.
The parking lot is off-site.
Now, if you're arriving not by your own car with a cab or an Uber, if you are staying at a Disneyland or Disney World hotel the night before, we actually got a voicemail message the night before telling us that we could go to Bell Service and they would arrange for a complimentary taxi. I don't know if that is something that is always going to happen. It's new. They're still working things out, but that happened for us. And on departure, they would arrange for a cab or comp you for an Uber or a Lyft.
Yes.
So
I will say that part of the experience is still a little bit rocky. Yeah. Like Steph said, so we stayed at Art of Animation the night before. We had a voicemail in our room. It was wonderful. They're like, welcome as a Halcyon passenger. We're pleased to offer you this transportation. But then when we actually went to Bell Services to arrange it, the cast members were a little confused. They sorted it out. It was all fine. But like I say, this part is not quite.
They're still finessing this. So if you don't want to wait in lines with people to arrive or leave, I'd suggest arriving at 2 p.m. And I'd also suggest leaving at 8 a.m. because there was quite a lineup to get your luggage, to get your valet, etc.
When you do arrive, so like we say, if you're driving your own vehicle, super easy, not a big deal. Valet parking, it's great. In either case, you arrive by your rideshare, your cab, your own vehicle. When you get out, there are tons of staff members there. And they'll approach you one by one. get you checked in, distribute your magic bands. If there is a queue, they will join you into the queue because there is a bit of a process, like we were mentioning with the safety video. You do, it's like theme park style entrance. You're going to tap your magic band, do your fingerprint. There is the scanners that you walk through.
They're very, very serious. No blasters, nothing that looks like a blaster. Lightsabers are okay, but you're only allowed to carry the hilts, not the blades around with you. You cannot have any sharp objects, corkscrews, pocket knives, scissors with a blade longer than like a manicure scissor blade. They ask you and they do scan your luggage, and I've heard lots of stories about people who had to go back and remove things from their luggage. So much like a cruise, it's very high security to get your things in. But let's get into the fun stuff, because that's the traveling bit. Nobody ever likes the traveling bit. The fun stuff. Who do we meet on board? The characters.
The characters are amazing. This is the part of the experience. It's like live theater or improv, or I don't really know what to compare it to.
No.
But the characters are remarkable in that they do an incredible job of trying to connect with the guests and remember and fold you into the story experience.
Now, you will see people from the universe that you know, like Chewie, Rey, and Kylo Ren. You'll also see stormtroopers who you're familiar with if you're familiar with Star Wars. But most of the characters are brand new. So we're just going to show you really quickly. It's hard to get photos of, it's awkward to get photos of the characters because no one else, unless you're media, no one else is there like shoving cameras in people's face and documenting every piece of food like we usually do at the theme parks, or, you know, you're at the theme parks taking photos of Mickey. That's what he expects. You start taking photos of Lieutenant Croy and he's like, what is going on? Why are you taking my photo?
Honestly, even as somebody who set out to take photos because I wanted to document the experience for the magazine, there were times where I got so wrapped up in what was happening and my camera's just sort of hanging there because I forgot what was going on, or I was emotionally invested in the conflict.
So just so you can kind of visually connect these people, you can find out all this information. We have a lineup of the characters over on our blog, but so you can visually connect as we talk. This is Lieutenant Croy. He's a First Order officer who joins the cruise at around the muster drill time. This right here is Captain Riola Kevon. She's a captain of the ship. Spoiler alert, she's on the good side. This is Lenka Mock. I think we actually have a better photo of Lenka. Lenka is awesome. She's the cruise director. So where the captain is very like prim and proper and you know, by the book, Lenka's a little bit more of a loose cannon and very fun. She's also on the good side. And her buddy is this droid, SK620, my buddy too. I love that little guy. And if you see this little symbol right here, it matches your magic band. And if you ask really nicely and he thinks that you're a trustworthy person, he might let you interface with him and tap your band. And then that might lead to some cool missions. We also have Sammy, who is the mechanic on the ship. And
he's brand new to the ship also. He's a rookie mechanic.
Yeah, and it's like, is he on the good side? Is he on the bad side? You have to find out. This is a terrible photo, but it was only one that we had of Wraith Cole. Wraith is Gaia's manager, and he actually has a lot more storyline than I thought he was going to.
He's an interesting character.
He's a very interesting character. If you like a Han Solo type,
yeah, he's a rogue. He's a scoundrel.
Yeah, Cassian, like all of those.
I think he has a good heart, but he's definitely shades of gray.
He's got some underworld connections. There you go.
There you go.
This is Gaia. You've probably seen other photos of her and videos of her singing in the lounge. She's phenomenal. Like, such a good performance. But she will also sometimes walk through the atrium and do things. Sometimes her luggage is arriving, or she's giving an acoustic performance in the atrium, which is really cool. This is Juani, her backup musician who plays some sort of cool space theremin and is very cool. Juani is my favorite character. She speaks Huttese and her face actually moves. She's a Rhodian, so the same species as Greedo. Her mouth moves, her eyes move. It's the most incredible costume I've ever seen at Disney.
It's very amazing. We have a question asking which characters are easiest and hardest to find. So there are different points in the journey where characters are more available. Like Gaia can be a little elusive. She's mostly around in the evenings because she's part of the nightly entertainment.
Juani's around more often.
Juani is around more often. You can often find her in the Atrium.
I would say it really depends on what storyline you end up following. Like, we only saw Sammy in the main show elements, and he came in during our bridge training for like 2 minutes. But other people spent their whole cruise with Sammy.
Yes.
And we spent a ton of time with the captain, with Lenka, and then also
SK.
with SK and the Sajas. So in addition to Juani, Sandro is a normal traveler just like us, and he gets pulled up on stage to help Gaia with a musical interlude during her performance on night 1. And then there's a very cool love story that happens between Sandro and Juani. That is one of the storylines that you might get pulled into. And there are many Sajas on board. Sajas are lightsaber trainers. So this is one, but we had, I don't know, 4 or 5 probably on our cruise. Yeah. And they are very...
These are not Jedis, but they are in tune with the Force. They respect the Force. They know a lot about Jedi lore and Force mythology. They are the ones who guide you through lightsaber training, and there's some more stuff about them that plays into the story element.
This is another reason that I really think that you should research what happens on a Starcruiser voyage before you go, because if you want to play a certain way, if you definitely want to be a good guy or a bad guy, or you want to get involved in a heist, you need to know which characters to talk to. What happens essentially is on day 1, you talk to as many characters as you can or have the desire to. You may get some missions back and forth with them. You talk to D309, who's the droid in your room. We'll talk about her in a second, but it kind of sets up what your missions the next day are going to be on Batuu. And when you get to Batuu, you get missions, and whether you do them or not and how they turn out leads into these kind of pre-finale moments you get to do with the characters on day 2. That's all in and around this bigger storyline, which is essentially the Halcyon is on a voyage off to Batuu, recreating its original voyage from over 200 years ago when it was first a new starliner. It's recently been renovated, and so we're all going to have a nice cruise together. But oh no, the First Order shows up because they feel like there's some resistance scum on board, and they're going to sort them out. And then what happens from there all the way up to a very climactic finale between Rey and Kylo on board doing an amazing stunt show. That's essentially what's happening.
It's important to understand with the storylines that they crisscross and overlap. So while you may get involved in a storyline initiated by a conversation with Sammy the mechanic, that at a certain point is going to overlap with something that Wraith Cole is doing.
Yeah.
So different groups of passengers who started at different points will converge and overlap.
It's also very, it's not clear to follow. You're not like, oh, I would like to do the Force path, please. There are 6 paths. We're going to talk about those in a minute, but you don't... Depending on how you answer questions, you get filtered by the computer system basically into what you're going to do. So if you really want to spend a lot of time with SK, you can try your best. You still might not, but you will have no chance at all of that, of making that happen if you don't do your research before the voyage. The ship itself is not, let's talk about D309, then let's talk about the ship. D309 is awesome. I loved her. I was not expecting to love her as much as I did.
D309 is in your room. There's a panel on your wall called a droid link panel, which has you push a button to activate.
And then you tap your magic
tap
band.
in with your magic band, or M band, they're called. And she knows she's part of the autopilot control system of the ship, but she knows everything. You can ask her questions, and it's not like a set dialogue. You can improv, you can ad lib, you can ask her questions, and you can let her know that you're in support of the Resistance or the First Order, and her responses might change to you. You can ask her to sing you a lullaby at bedtime. You can ask her what time dinner starts, all of that kind of stuff. You can ask her for secrets and access to different parts of the ship.
She actually had us do a few missions with her on screen, one where we got to negotiate to smuggle some coaxium with another another pilot who didn't want to deal with a droid, and then stormtroopers wanted to talk to us through the droid link because they were trying to suss out if she was a good droid or a bad droid. And
this was one of my favorite moments of the whole thing. So we're in this scenario where I'm communicating on behalf of the droid, and the First Order is trying to like confiscate her for helping the Resistance. And I pulled the classic Jedi mind trick of these are not the droids you are looking for. And it worked.
It was very good.
Now, I will say that I tried the same thing at a different point in our journey in the Atrium with some real live stormtroopers, and they basically laughed at me and said I was no true Jedi.
Yeah.
So your mileage may vary with how much you've tapped into the Force.
Yeah.
I do want to quickly, people in the comments want to know, did we play our missions together?
So Danny and I did play our missions together. Like I said, we were there for Danny's birthday. I wanted to spend the day with him. And also we have the same kind of Star Wars alliances. So we answered all of our, we both did it separately on our own data pads, but we answered every question the same. And we did get put on the same path.
You do not have to play cooperatively with the people you travel with. Everyone in your cabin can split up and do their own thing.
And they'll still see each other at like muster drill and dinner and stuff like that.
Yes, but be prepared and factor this in, if you're coming with younger kids who aren't ready to be solo during this adventure, like
you're going to want to play the same.
Depending on how you play, it will split your party up to different parts of the ship at different times. That may or may not be an issue. We saw lots of
kids. I would say 7 or 8 years old was the age the kids started branching off and going on their own. It's all a closed environment. It's only 2 floors. Like, it's easy to find them if you need to find them. But if you want to give them some independence, it's a fairly safe way, I think, to do it. Let's talk about the ship, though. So the Atrium, so there's 2 floors basically that are the big public floors, and then there's 3 floors of rooms. The Atrium is on what I will call the top floor, and it is a huge open space. Here it is with one lighting scheme. Here it is with a different lighting scheme at nighttime. But off of the Atrium, you can access the bridge, which is beautiful, one of my favorite spaces on the ship. You actually get to go do bridge training where you learn 4 different like mini game modules that might come in handy later on your trip if something goes wrong.
There are different times throughout the journey where the bridge is just open, and if you want to go and check it out, you can, but then there is specific bridge training and other events where you actually get to interact and control the bridge.
Everybody gets that. It's scheduled in your itinerary for day 1 or day 2. And then this is Sublight Lounge. It's also accessed off the Atrium. So it is, I prefer it to Oga's Cantina a million times.
No contest.
It was very chill out in there. Great music, great food, really good vibe. You can play sabacc. It's fun. Also off the Atrium, you can access the gift shop, which is called the Chandra-La Collection. The lower level is more like hallway based, like you're walking through and then it's the dining room and then it's the climate simulator. So here's a look at the Crown of Corellia dining room. This table in the middle is the captain's table, and then there's more traditional restaurant seating all around. At lunch and breakfast, you can pick your own seats, but at dinner you are assigned your seats.
Yes, all your meals take place in the Crown of Corellia dining room. There's snacks available elsewhere in the ship.
We'll be getting to that in a minute. Also on the lower level is the dojo, the training pod for lightsaber training, and the engineer room. We don't have a lot of photos of the engineering room. It's very, very dark in there, but it's a super, super cool space on the ship. It's got all of these like very tactile, interactive puzzles and things that you end up doing, and you might get a special invite to do a special event in there, or you might not. We didn't, although we did get to play one on a media preview that we had. So
there's
the engineering
lots of
room
different
cool.
reasons that will draw you to the engineering room. Some for sabotage, some to restore the sabotage. There's lots of stuff going on.
There's also the climate simulator, which is it's like an outdoor courtyard that mimics the current weather on Batu.
The
So
climate simulator is actually a really fun place. Like, it's very relaxing.
It's got a rock garden, it's got these living walls, and it's very cool.
There are some story moments that can happen if you're there at the right place at the right time.
Which you may or may not be. Other major story moments. So major story moments. Muster at 4 p.m. on first day. Right after muster drill is a captain's reception. You don't have to do this, but this is really where all the characters are going to be out and you can make connections with them. And then after that is dinner. So you'll either have first or second seating. Gaia's performance is great, but it's also important to the storyline. She has a lot of hidden messages in there and some other things. If you're paying attention around the room, some other things are going on.
In the border, in your peripheral vision.
Lightsaber training, like we said, everybody gets to do that. It will be in your schedule. And then other things that you can do are things like playing sabacc. This is the hollow sabacc table in Sublight Lounge. It's very cool. There's only space for 4 people, so people rotate in and out pretty quickly. They'll also, the crew members will bring you regular paper sabacc cards if you want to just play on your own. And there's a sabacc tournament on day 2. It's really easy to find your way around because in your data pad, your phone, you will have access to a map like this that shows you how to get everywhere and where you can find everything. And if you see these little, see this little white pin that's dropped here, it was black, it became white after I did some things with it. If you go to that location, you'll find that there's something to scan or something to interact with, which is really, really cool.
Not all parts of the ship are immediately available to you. There are certain areas that are restricted, and it's part of your journey to gain the credentials to unlock those parts.
Now you can take a tour on the first day when you arrive. Right after lunch, you can take a tour of the ship and get acquainted with some of these areas. You can also take data pad orientation. So if you're not familiar with the Play Disney Parks app and the data pad as it is, you might want to do this because it will get you more familiar with the tech. You're going to be very reliant on the tech. It has a huge amount of stuff to do with the storyline that you follow, and I'm going to show you some examples of that now. So you might get to, like I talked about, you might go to one of these locations where there's a pin dropped on the ship and go over. I went over to the Sublight Lounge and I found the Halcyon Fluke. I was able to scan and read a whole story about this very fancy bottle of wine that they have on display outside of the Sublight Lounge. I went to the climate simulator and there are plants there, and I was able to translate what the plants were and where they were from. All of these actions that I took, I think, tell the computer the things that I'm interested in and how active I am to program special story events for me later. In your app, you'll also see your events tab. So this, for example, is all of the things that I was supposed to do when I got to Batuu. As soon as I arrived on Batuu, you actually tap in and tap out when you get there, and we'll talk about that process in a minute. But my screen populated with all of these things. So I had missions to locate some artifacts, Jedi artifacts for the Saja, to find a local forger for Lenka, to deliver some resistance data for Captain Keevan, to help Lenka rescue SK620 by gaining access to a droid unbolting program, and to steal coaxium for Wraith Cole for whatever reason, not my business. And then back on the ship, here is what it looks like. If you have an event that you're specially invited to, your lightsaber training, your dinner, we got to attend the unbolting of SK620 as a special pre-finale event. Those will be kind of yellow, and then other optional activities like autographs with Gaia or know your co-pilot, those will be in kind of black, and then you can choose to do them or not do them as you so choose. Other things that happen in the data pad is you're constantly getting messages. You'll get messages from all the important characters. You can respond to them or not respond to them. Every time Lieutenant Croy messaged me, I was like, go away.
I said, go away. We don't want you on our ship.
It's all multiple choice, so you don't have to think about what to say. You just have to check what option. So here's an example. Lenka messaged me, and I was like, what should I check out first? Or do you have a favorite place on the ship? And then later on, here is her giving me directions to go figure out some codes for the unbolting program that we would need to free SK.
One thing you'll notice about the messaging options is that if you sort of read into it, like often when you are interacting with a character, you'll have 4 options to choose from. And they sort of break down into like, yes, for sure, I want to help you, or maybe I want to help you, tell me more, or I don't want to help you, but you might be able to change my mind, or go away, I don't like you.
Yeah.
And so how you play the game, like if you just say, yes, I'm in 100%, the conversations are shorter.
Yeah.
But if you choose some of the like maybe or I need convincing, there's longer dialogue trees that you follow.
So we basically did things for every single person other than for Lieutenant Croy. But there, like I said before, there are 6 story paths. There's a Resistance, First Order, Smuggler, Heist, Rom-Com, and Force paths. But again, you're not clicking in and saying, yes, I would like Resistance and Force. Yes. Depending on what you do and how you interact with the data pad and with the characters that you're talking to one-on-one,
you get funneled into a different path. And there are some events that have capacity restrictions.
So if everybody plays the same way, not everyone's going to get to go to a finale event.
Yes. Also, these names that we've given, talking about a resistance path, a first order, a scoundrel, etc., these are not, you won't see mentions of this in the data pad. This is just, we're grouping the different kinds of story elements and characters into genres.
Yeah. And like I said, Danny and I intentionally played towards Resistance and Force this time. I think that next time we might do Smuggler and Heist and Rom-Com. And spoiler alert, there will be a next time. I don't know when. We haven't booked it yet, but it's great and I can't wait to go back.
Yeah.
Some costuming. I see somebody's asking about, did most people dress for the experience? I would say most people dressed in some way, but a lot of times that way was a Star Wars t-shirt.
So here's how it breaks down with costuming. This is an amazing opportunity if you want to go all out. And we saw people like movie accurate, incredible costumes. But we also saw people in regular vacation clothes and everything in between. Here's the thing. You do not need a costume to do this, but you're playing, you're in this universe, you're using your imagination, you're getting into this story. If being in costume is going to make that a richer experience for you, if that's going to help you get into character, then lean into it.
If it's going to stress you out, don't do it.
Yes.
Danny and I, go ahead.
Consider your costume carefully for a couple of reasons. One, early in the voyage, Steph and I got invited by the captain to a resistance meeting.
These are the outfits that we were wearing.
But while we were at that resistance meeting, a passenger showed up in like first order gear. And the captain, politely, but in story keeping, basically told them to leave and that they couldn't attend this meeting. So if you're not sure how you want to play, but you're dressed as a first order officer, that might make it tricky for you to integrate
anything with anybody. And the same thing, if you're wearing a resistance flight suit, like no one's going to let you come to a first order meeting. So I would recommend dressing neutrally.
Some people do try to play like a double cross storyline, and so but like be prepared to think and talk about your costume, and it's going to give clues to the characters on how to interact with you.
The second thing is you want to make sure this is comfortable. You're going to be pretty active and you're going to be walking around a lot, and it is Florida, so keep that in mind. I actually think Danny and I, we did not have as many costumes as some people. Some people, it was like a morning costume, an afternoon costume, a fancy dinner costume. We only had 3. We had this arrival outfit that we wore our whole first day. We called it our Galactic Traveler outfit. We had this Batu bound that we wore for going to Batu because we wanted to be a little bit more athletic and comfortable. And then we had these full Jedi costumes we wore on the second night
for dinner.
And for this photo shoot. I really regret changing costumes. I should have stayed in the same costume with the same hairstyle the entire time. People did not recognize us in our Jedi costumes the next day. My recommendation would be use the same costume or something very similar. Maybe you like change your shirt from yellow to green or something, but you're wearing the same pants and vest and scarf.
We can't say for certain if this impacted our gameplay, but it did feel like characters we had interacted with on day one weren't sure if they recognized us again on day two when we went into Jedi robes.
You can do something like, I've seen people like tattoo, like face paint tattoos, or like wear blue lipstick or a crazy hair color or something. If you can make yourself distinctive, I think that that's going to help. And I'll test it out on my next cruise and let you know.
I said this earlier, but the characters do an incredible job of trying to remember you, remember the interactions you've had, and fold you into the story. Anything you can do to make that a little easier, to be recognizable, to give them visual clues that you're a smuggler or you're a pilot or whatever you're playing as, that's just going to help that experience. You can't guarantee these things, but you can stack the odds in your favor.
Now, on board, you can basically wear any costume that you want. You can wear full Mandalorian armor. You can only wear helmets when you're having a special photo taken, like just for a moment, put it on and then take it off.
Kids can wear helmets or at least face masks.
But that's true in the parks also. On Batu, you can wear more costume than you would normally be allowed. I've seen people who were in full Twi'lek face paint and their Leku and everything on Batu because they had a special Halcyon pin on, which we'll talk about in a second. But if you're dressed as you can't wear your Mandalorian armor, you can't wear your Stormtrooper armor. If you're dressed as a character, if you truly look like Rey or Princess Leia or something, they're not going to let you go. On the ship, if you're dressed as an existing Star Wars character, they're not going to call you Luke Skywalker. They're not going to call you Leia. They're going to be like, whoa, nice hairstyle. You must really love Princess Leia. At that point, General Organa. There are some more costuming rules for Batu. You're going to want to be comfortable anyway. It's 1,000,000 degrees in Florida. And should you go to Batu? Yes, you should go to Batu. I myself question this. I was like, we are in Batu all the time. Why would we go and lose time on the ship? If you don't, your storyline is dead in the water.
Yes, it's fun, it's important, it progresses your journey. Things that you start on the ship, there are then components you need to collect on Batu that you will then use to activate subsequent story elements on the Starcruiser.
This is the inside of the transport vehicle that takes you to Batu. It's only a few minute ride. When you get there, you come out of this docking bay that's near the TIE Echelon, and there is actually a nice area in there where you can sit down and cool off and have some water.
They have cold water and
They
stuff.
also have cast members there who can help you if you're having tech difficulties, which we did, and they helped us. And it's also really cool. You get to walk through these weird corridors through Batu, like the back stage of Batu.
It's a great entrance to Batu. A note on tech difficulties: if you're having problems at any point during your experience with your data pad, don't wait. Don't try and troubleshoot it. Just find the nearest cast member.
They will help you.
They will help you. You need your data pad flowing correctly to have the best time.
So Batu, it's great. I would recommend, so you're going to get a lightning lane for Rise of the Resistance and for Smuggler's Run. A lot of people were like, I'm just going to run, do the rides, and leave. Don't do that. We were actually instructed in our missions when to ride those rides. I don't know if it impacted the story for us at all, but it felt really cool. It's like we were gathering all these things and we had to transmit the data by tapping our M bands.
There are lots of things you can do out of sequence if you want to, and doing it in the strict story sequence did mean a bit of crisscrossing Batu, but it's so rewarding and it just feels so it feels cinematic.
So let's talk about the cabins.
Sure.
There are 3 different kinds of cabins, okay? So you can get a Grand Captain Suite that sleeps 8 people. It has 2 beds, 2 pull downs, 2 bunks, 2 bathrooms, a bar area. a living area, and you get like a snack amenity kit. There's a Galaxy class suite which sleeps 4 people and has a bed and 2 pull downs, as well as a slightly bigger bathroom and a bar area. And then what most of the cabins are, there's only 100 cabins on board. Most of the cabins are this standard cabin that Danny and I had. This sleeps 4 to 5 people, and you get 2 bunks. Some of the rooms also have a pull down bed and 1 large like queen bed, as well as, it's very much a typical hotel room. You walk in, it's all there except for the bathroom, which is off to the side. So this is one view of the room. This is another where you can kind of see on the left, there's this map. That's the television. You can just watch regular TV.
It's a regular
there if you
TV.
want, but there's a very cool map that shows you where in the galaxy you are. And this, that is your viewport is outside. Every time that you go through an asteroid field or hyperspace or whatever, you're orbiting a planet.
All the viewports in the ship are linked. So if you're in the bridge and jumping to hyperspeed, anybody in their cabin will see the same thing on the viewport.
So if you have a pull down bed, this is what that looks like. It's very, very simple. It can accommodate an adult. If you are sleeping in the regular bed, it's regular bed, pretty nice. And then if you're in the bunk beds, this is what they look like, and they're stacked. Now,
they're comfortable.
They're very comfortable, and they're spacious. Look, Danny, a very large man who's 6'1", was up there with plenty of room. Honestly, as a teenager, I would have loved going on family vacations and having my own little cozy bunk space like this, instead of like being on the bed next to my parents with all my stuff spread out, sharing a bed with my brother, whatever. I would have loved this. But it was pretty fun to be up there. Yeah. And here's a look at how there's a ladder. You know, it tells you not to put like really little kids on the top bunk.
I know that people online have been concerned about the size of the cabins, and I've heard the complaints and I've seen the worries. You spend so little time in your cabin because there is so much happening, but even still, it's not as small as people say it is. It's a totally serviceable room.
And the bathroom is very spacious and modern. Nice waterfall shower.
Yeah.
All the H2O products in the shower lined up. And they actually have hand soap, and you can see your hand soap and hand lotion. Plus, you can take this home, but you get a tin that has like face cloths that remove your makeup. And then also like a bubble sheet mask.
I don't know how well you can see this on the camera, but the directions are for somebody who has leku, who have the head pieces. It's all great. It's all themed in universe.
Here's my advice for the rooms. There are not a ton of plugs, and there's like only one USB key or a USB outlet in the normal room. I can't speak to the suites. Bring a USB adapter, bring lots of charging adapters so you can charge all your devices if you're traveling with multiple people and lots of devices, and do not bring a lot of luggage. There is some under bed storage space, but it's not the same amount that you'd find at like Pop Century, for instance. It's like a cubby underneath the bed. We could not fit both of our large suitcases together fully under the bed. Also, there are some shelves, there's some closet space, there's not a proper dresser, all that's fine, but it's not a huge room. And if you're traveling with 3, 4, 5 people for a week to Disney, and this is only 2 days, you're gonna have a lot of luggage. Pack as lightly as you can. They will not hold your luggage at other hotels right now. That could change. They will not hold your luggage like down in passenger services at Starcruiser. So the best thing that I think you can do is, if this is part of a larger Disney trip, pack your Starcruiser stuff all in one suitcase so you can pile all the other suitcases of stuff somewhere else and have one thing to access.
Someone in the comments wants to know what our favorite part about the cabins was.
D309.
D309, the droid, is very fun and informative and makes being in your cabin part of the story. Honestly, the bed was really comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just that like it's brand new, or if they're using a different kind of mattress.
It was very
but like the main, like it's a queen bed. I had a great night's sleep.
Yeah. Now that we've talked about sleeping, let's talk about eating and all the food.
Yes.
Now if you guys are interested, because we could talk to you for hours and hours about every single food item, and we're working on some blogs and videos that are going to give a full review of every single thing. But if you want us to come on here and talk about that, let us know in the comments and maybe we'll do another video. But we're going to give you an overview right now. Let's start with breakfast.
Breakfast and lunch are both all you can eat, and they're serve yourself sort of cafeteria style. It's in the main dining room, but you go with your tray and you load up. There's all of these.
You can go back as many times as you want.
Yeah, and everything is set up as like tasting portions. There's all kinds of stuff, and when you get to the heart of it, it's familiar food. It's just presented in new and novel ways. So like at breakfast, like there's waffles and sausage and eggs.
Looking at the photo that we're sharing right now, you can't see all of this because it's kind of like a forced perspective thing, but back here is basically a space version of a deviled egg. We have a cup of blue milk up here, a delicious pastry board. That was one of Danny's favorite things, was the pastries.
Yeah.
This is a waffle. It's the same waffle as a Mickey waffle mix, but it has a Chandrilla logo on it, some sausages, and a little rolled cheese and egg omelet. This I did not care for, I will be honest. It is it's like a vegan plant-based yogurt that's supposed to taste like blue milk. I did not care for it. It was too tangy for me.
Beautiful presentation.
Another plant-based option though is here. This is like a kale porridge with mung bean eggs on top of it.
Eggs, they're not real
eggs that were spiced really nicely, and some mushroom gravy. That was really good. This is compressed fruit. I'm pretty sure they just take normal fruit and put it in like a vacuum package to like make it a little bit more intensely colored and compressed. Some dragon fruit. There were some like dried blueberries, and there was like quince or fig jelly jam on the side.
It's very good.
And this is like basically a hash brown topped with an egg bite, topped with some bacon and a cheese sauce.
That was another one of my highlights. Really good. This is the thing, right? You know what all of the components of the dish are. It's presented differently. But like it's bacon and eggs and hash browns with a cheese sauce.
There was nothing truly weird. This is I'm going to show you 2 lunch plates. For those who are picky eaters or just love them some mac and cheese and nugs like me, or if you have kids, they do have mac and cheese and chicken nuggets. The chicken nuggets are in little cubes like you might find at Docking Bay 7, and the noodles are not traditional macaroni noodles.
No, the chicken's also called tippian.
Yeah.
That's what they call that in Star Wars.
There's really good pizzas on board. They have a wood-fired oven.
Yeah.
And
this is the question that just came in, is favorite food on board. Honestly, the pizza is so good. They call them flatbreads, and they don't always have traditional pizza toppings.
Like
you can get
this one right here had like masala and paneer
cheese and stuff. So they have them at breakfast and lunch. They also have them in the Sublight Lounge on the bar snack menu. It's some of the best pizza you can get at Disney.
This here is a crawfish stew with like a cornbread crouton on top. And this is like a grilled cheese, but instead of being grilled cheese, it's a cheesy bubble waffle with a tomato soup dipper. And over
tomatoes are called red fruit in Star Wars universe.
Yep. This is a like spicy cucumber salad. This is a chocolate caramel like tartlet. This is basically a hot dog. It's in a blue focaccia bun, but it's essentially a hot dog. So hopefully your kids won't freak out that it's a blue bun. It tastes like white bread. Another pizza, and these short rib bites that you loved.
Yes, the short rib bites were also excellent, although they come on kimchi, and it was pretty mild for kimchi.
Dinner is served family style each night, and the courses are just brought out. You don't order anything. The food just magically shows up. So dinner night 1, actually you start with this, what they call a Bento Experience.
This is a very memorable and one of the favorites on the whole trip. These steamed and then seared bao buns.
One is chicken, one is beef, one is vegetable, and it comes with a tangy vegetable noodle salad on the side.
Yeah.
And then you get into your entrees. So you had this, I don't really like shrimp, so I avoided this. But you had this
shrimp and lobster sauce. That was a thumbs up from me.
There was this rice that I was looking forward to, but it was a little bit undercooked for us, so I can't really. If it had been done properly, I'm sure it would have been delicious. Some roasted vegetables that were very nice. Very, very good bourbon style chicken.
Yeah. Like, you've probably had this before from the takeaway or whatever, but this is an excellent rendition of it, and it hit the spot.
And then some really good beef tenderloin on top of purple potatoes. And then we finished up with my favorite dessert of the trip, which was called, I don't know if it's pronounced Yogan or Jogan, but like Yogan fruit and caramel whip. So this was like a little like caramel mousse. This was a little like berry passion fruit mousse. I don't really know. It's delicious.
It's a little similar to the blue dessert thing you can get in Pandora.
Yeah, it's not Julie Canteen. It's not exactly
it's not
the same. It's more
thing.
tart.
It's more tart, but it's similar.
There's some matcha crumbles, there's some passion fruit dots, and there's a little yuzu jelly. On night 2, you start with this Mustafarian bread service where you get all these different kinds of bread, charcoal bread and purple bread and crunchy bread, and like a whipped pimento cheese and like a tomato dip and a apricot chutney and things. They have all space names though, but it's really delicious. And then what everybody's talking about, the iced blue Felucian shrimp.
I will say this, the blue, it's visually stunning. Mm-hmm. It looks super alien. The presentation is amazing. It imparts no flavor to the shrimp whatsoever. So the question with this blue shrimp dish, do you enjoy shrimp cocktail? You will enjoy space shrimp cocktail if you answered yes.
If you do not enjoy shrimp cocktail, you will not enjoy this, and maybe ask for an alternate dish instead before they bring it out. So if you have dietary restrictions or allergies or anything like that, on the first day that you arrive between 1 and 4, go down to the dining room, talk to the host or hostess that's there, and ask to speak to a chef. Chef will come out, they will mark your table and everything, and they will take down all of your requirements or the requirements for your party, and then they will make sure they take care of you just like magic. We saw this with table mates of ours at the captain's table on night 2. They were not brought. They said that they wouldn't eat anything that had any kind of seafood in it. It was all prepared separately, allergy free. It was very nice. On night 2. You also get this like a kashyyyk style fish with like this vegetable blend. You're also going to see here, because we were at the captain's table on night 2, there was a lobster, kale, and some caviar. Not everybody gets that, only if you're at the captain's table.
It was good.
Captain's table is only a $30 upcharge though, so if you like food and you want some extra courses, I would suggest getting it. If it's available.
Also comes out to the table briefly to talk to you about the menu. Which is cool. Nice.
This is my favorite thing on night 2, actually, was this short rib on these like turmeric potatoes with roasted radishes and
things. The short rib was good. That. I think the beef from night 1 was better.
Interesting. We also had the fish at our media preview. I didn't really like the fish on this night, but I really liked it at the media preview, so it might just depend on
I was more interested in the lobster, which was very good.
Also on night 2 is this chocolate chandrilla air cake, which I think was visually stunning. It's beautiful. It wasn't my favorite, but I'm not a chocolate person, so
that's true.
But we did captain's table, so on the different nights there are different dishes. You cannot do captain's table both nights. You can only do it one night. There's only 11 spots per seating, so not everybody on the cruise is going to get to do it. And if you do night 1 or night 2, your inclusions are different. So we were on night 2. We started off with this like beet rice crisp thing with a carrot puree on top and some little balsamic vinegar balls. I actually really liked it. Then we had this, might have been my favorite thing. We had this shooter of tri-colored gazpacho that was very good, I thought. Mm-hmm. Danny didn't love it, but he's not a gazpacho guy.
It was beautiful to look at. And the presentation, the colors.
You get a little tray of extra desserts. So there were some cookies, including these 2 little blue macarons, like Baby Yoda macarons. And I wish I had just had a pile of those.
Yeah.
There's also a really fancy, nice place setting if you get to stay at the captain's table, and they give you a little towel.
You get this little medallion also as a keepsake from the captain's table, and like it's nice, it's metal. We have 2 of these. We each got one.
And you know what? We actually didn't talk about this earlier. When you go to Batu, you get this. I don't know if it's going to snap into focus or not, but you get this special pin that you wear while you're on Batu that alerts everybody that you are from the Halcyon. So that's not it though for food. I also want to say for kids or picky eaters. If you're a picky eater, ask them to make you something different or ask to order off the kids menu and they'll bring you an adult portion. They got mac and cheese. They got buttered noodles. They have carrots and green beans. chicken nuggets, chicken swords, which is little grilled chickens
Skewers.
on a skewer. They have pizza. You are not going to go hungry. I have read about so many people, and I actually saw people on our cruise too, who would not try the food because they thought it was too weird and it was outside of their comfort zone. They brought granola bars and power bars, and they were like, I was so hungry the whole cruise. I've been reading these reports.
You're doing yourself a disservice. They took a big swing with the culinary menu here, like visually, conceptually. Not everything is a winner. I'll be the first one to admit that, but there's so much variety that, like, if you don't like something, just move on. There's other stuff, and
you've already paid for it. So, like, take a bite. If you don't like it, don't eat it. Go on to the next thing. At least try it before you whip out a power bar.
Exactly. And honestly, the majority of it is excellent. And, like, you know, if at first glance the presentation looks alien to you, that's the point. It's supposed to. Try it anyways. The flavors are good. It's really fun.
There's also a snack bar in the Atrium in the afternoons and evenings where it's like grab and go items. I still have one, actually.
I need to talk about this for a minute because it's been bothering me ever since we did Starcruiser. So they have these snacks, and it's great, and you help yourself. But
it's so loud.
The wrappers that they are in are the world's loudest wrappers.
But
why?
I don't. Danny hates this.
Why?
There's cake here. Here we actually have one more. There's cake pops. There were chocolate cookies and like raspberry Rice Krispie things. There was trail mix, Parmesan crisps, spicy cheesy popcorn.
The snacks are great, and they're just out. Help yourself. They're in the Atrium.
Every time I went by, I took some. I took it back to my room, and then I ate them the rest of the trip. I'll be honest. We went to Sublight Lounge also, where you can get cappuccinos and sodas and water and everything for free. The food is free too, and we'll talk about the food in a second. You do have to pay for cocktails, wine, and beer, and you do have to pay for mocktails. This is
just so you guys have a sense, most of the cocktails come in around the $15 mark. A couple of them that come in like souvenir glasses get up in the like high 20s, low 30s, but you're paying for the souvenir glass.
Mocktails are $8. And like I said, food is free. And like wine, it depends. Are you ordering a glass? Are you ordering a bottle? You can get a bottle of up to $160 or a glass for as little as $11. If you're going to be boring and get wine or beer, get the Tonneray Chardonnay. It's blue. At least it's like drink these fancy cocktails. They're delicious. This one's called the Cloud of Bespin.
That was a hit. Unlike Oga's Cantina, these drinks are not pre-done. They're all made to order. They all have garnishes and special glassware.
And there's a full bar, so if you really like want a tequila soda or something, they'll make that for you too.
Somebody asked a while ago about our favorites at the bar.
This is my favorite.
This drink, which is called the Silver Sea Martini.
It is so gorgeous. It was delicious. Passion fruit, ginger, mint.
Yeah, gin, lemon, mint, ginger, and passion fruit. What I like about this drink is I think this drink strikes the best balance between being a delicious cocktail and looking like very otherworldly, outer spacey.
Here it is again beside Danny's favorite cocktail, the Mark of the Huntress, which is a little bit darker here, but it just kind of looks like a normal like high glass with a roasted pineapple or something on top. Dehydrated pineapple. They also have this bar mix that they call Felucian Snack Bites that I was like, okay, I guess you can bring me some. It's so really good. I should have filled my purse with them and brought it home and eaten it forever.
Yeah, it's got dried fruit and nuts,
but
and it's spicy and it's sweet.
Like herbs or something. It's really good. There's also a ton of food, and I talked a big game before we went about that. I was going to taste everything at the Sublight Lounge. I tasted everything in the dining room, and then I was so full. We did not taste every single thing in the Sublight Lounge, but we got a lot. There is this these cheese balls, these 3 cheese balls, and they come in like a smoked cloche, and they open it up and all the smoke goes everywhere. It's very good.
If you order this, everyone at all the tables around you is then going to order it because they're going to be like, whoa, what was that?
There's a little pepperoni pizza that you can get. Danny had 2 of these on the first night because they were so good. And let me tell you, I thought he was going to have 3 on the second night. He had 0 on the second night because we were so full. Could not believe that he didn't order more pizza.
It's some of the best pizza Disney makes.
These Mustafari and tuber chips have like a charcoal vinegar and sriracha powder on them.
They're kettle chips.
Dipping
They're
sauce.
excellent. Very crunchy, very delicious.
Yeah. There's also, on the last night after the grand finale, there's a sweets and treats event. And you don't want to miss this, not only because of the desserts, but because Juani and Sandro have a couple songs that
Yeah,
they
there's
play.
a little encore live music performance.
But they have Outpost mix, they have mochi, a tiny like round muffin. You love this purple whipped cream.
This purple whipped cream, it's like ube flavor. Ube is like a purple sweet potato. It's delicious.
And if you want something super healthy, there's water on tap, sparkling, chilled flat and ambient flat water. You just get water anytime you want. Isn't that nice? Also, merch. Should we do a separate video for merch, or should we talk about merch right now?
We'll talk about merch quickly. If you guys want to see a more in-depth, the gift shop is called the Chandrila Collection. The merch is great.
We're going to show you what we got very quickly.
Wearing some stuff.
There's actually a second secret gift shop. There's the Chandrila Collection on board, where Danny got this t-shirt. Everything is in universe. It says CSL and Halcyon.
You'll notice on my shirt, it says CSL, Chandrila Starline, and the Arbesh says Halcyon.
Mine says Galactic Starcruiser, Star Wars, and the Arabesh says Star Wars. There's a tiny gift shop in the terminal when you depart.
Only on departure day.
That is all Star Wars branded things.
Yeah, so everything inside the Halcyon, it does not say Star Wars because you are living in that universe.
Yeah.
Everything outside says Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser.
Yeah.
Really quickly, we picked up a Droid Depot SK action figure.
I got this keychain. I'm going to turn it into a Christmas ornament because I didn't like the Christmas ornament that they had on board.
There's a CSL patch from inside the ship and a Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser patch from outside the ship.
A Halcyon baseball hat.
The Sabak deck and dice. Very nice metallic finish. Everybody gets the white magic band as part of your check-in. I paid additional for the black magic band because I thought it looked cool. And then we have pins to show as well.
This one's from outside, this one's from inside.
This is a very special pin. What I love about this is that getting this pin is not just part of the shopping, it's part of the story of the show. If you are aligned with the Resistance and you mention this to the people in the gift shop, they will give you the option to purchase this secret. It's got a little hidden compartment. One second.
This might take a while.
There we go. It's got a little hidden compartment that flips over to reveal a Resistance symbol so you can show your allegiance.
Now, even if you don't shop at the gift shop, but I'm sure you will, you might get a few cool things that you can take home. Like they put these letters in your room at different times to, like, from a captain being like, "Oh, I'm so sorry that the first order is on the ship now. Rest assured, your journey will be fine." And there are times when you might get slipped a little something. So, like, after night one dinner, we were brought a tray with our bill on it, but you've already paid for dinner. There's no actual bill. And it looked like a piece of garbage, but we flipped it over and it was part of a secret note. And then we were able to find other passengers with the other parts of the secret note so that we could figure out what we needed to do the next day to further our storyline.
This is, I've said cinematic earlier, like the way they tell this story, the way these interactions happen is so organic and it feels like you're in a movie. Yeah. We had an interaction earlier in our story where we were hanging out in the Sublight Lounge having a drink, and then all of a sudden the captain just slid into the booth next to us and, was sort of talking and sussing out our allegiance and stuff, and then, wished us a nice journey. But before she left, she was like, "By the way, at 7:45, meet me in this room, and I'll,
it didn't appear on our data pad or anything. It was just like she whispered to us, and then she recognizes, and she's like, "Oh, good, you're here. Let's do this."
But like, it felt like a movie scene. Like we were in the bar having a drink, and she just slides in there.
On Batu, Lenka needed us to do something, and we had to go drop something off at Oga's or pick up a credential or something. And she's like, "Go show this to the person at the entry of Oga's. Show this special symbol, and they'll know what to do. And we showed them, and they're like, whoa, 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 you
Yeah,
shouldn't
don't
be
go
flashing that around. And they like huddled us off to the side, and they pulled out this coaster that has a QR code on the back, but like pulled it out like so seamlessly and passed it to us in like a very hidden way. It's very cool. It's like when you're on Rise of the Resistance and you're like, I'm in a queue, and then all of a sudden somebody's like, go, 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 get on the transport. So that's what the whole thing really felt like.
Yeah.
So we did not buy the very expensive limited edition lightsaber. We don't really have a lightsaber collection. We weren't sure we wanted to start one, but you can only buy 2 per cabin. Some things were already sold out. I wanted to get some earrings that were sold out. Danny wanted to get some sabacc chips that were not yet in stock,
chips, yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but that's okay. There's plenty of other stuff to buy. And if you are in the US, they can ship everything home to you for a fee.
Yes.
If you
Thanks to our pal Hondo and Anaka Shipping Solutions.
Yes, thanks Hondo. Now, our review overall. So some things that we keep getting asked. Do you have to be a Star Wars person to do this?
I don't think it's essential if you're interested in the idea of this like live action role play, choose your own adventure thing, but you're not going to appreciate the details. Yeah. You're going to be confused about the characters, and the nuances will be lost. Yeah. So yes, that being said, you don't have to be the most die-hard, like you don't need to be able to name every character and every spaceship and
every planet and all of that.
Yeah.
No. Another one that I see a lot of is, what age should I bring my kids? Now, you need to understand there's not onboard childcare like on a cruise. Also, the events go until 10 or 11 at night. So you're going to miss out on things if you have to go take a lot of naps or early bedtime or whatever. My suggestion is there's not a specific age. I would say when your kids are old enough that they've seen and genuinely understand Star Wars, when your kids are old enough that they will play independently and confidently with others, and when your kids are old enough to stay up till 10 or 11 o'clock at night, that's the right age to start bringing the kids.
Yeah.
If you want them to have a great experience and you want to have a great experience as well.
That being said, we saw families on our voyage with like babes in arms, everything,
So very little kids are super cute to see, like the 3 and 4-year-olds who are like, I'm the Wookiee. They're adorable, but like I'm sad for their parents who like missed the lightsaber battle at the end of the because
they had
it was
to go
bedtime.
Yeah.
Also, accessibility I see a lot of. So there are turbo lifts, elevators, so you don't need to worry about getting up and down the stairs. And generally speaking, like the corridors are pretty open. In the engineering room, in the bridge, there are ramps so you can get up and down. The engineering room might be tricky.
The engineering room and the cargo hold, while you can certainly enter them even in a wheelchair or an ECV, you're going to have a hard time getting into all the nooks and crannies.
Like here I am in a nook or cranny, crawling under a thing.
Some of this stuff, like there are cool, like we did a game in the engineering room and it unlocked a hidden door, but it was floor level and you had to crawl through it.
Yeah.
For your kids, no problem. For Steph, not a big deal. For me, I didn't do it.
I think something else is, people keep asking me, is this part of a Disney trip or instead of a Disney trip? I think that really depends on how much time you have off from work and what your budget is. If you have lots of time and lots of budget, there's no reason this couldn't be. I would suggest starting your trip here instead of ending, because I think you'll be too tired after a week at Disney to do this.
The question about, is this a Disney trip or not? This is unlike any other Disney trip.
But going on a Disney cruise is unlike going to Disney World or Disneyland. So if you're the kind of person who's like, I've done Disney World 20 times, now I'm going to try a cruise for something different, you might want to try this for something different also. We talked about luggage, and is it worth it and will we do it again? Well, we've already said we would do it again.
I think it is worth it. I know people have sticker shock about Starcruiser.
Not for every person.
I think it's worth it because I understand it's expensive, and I agree it's expensive. I don't know how this experience could be provided in a different way. It's so unique. It has so many elements, from the
actors and lighting technicians and stage managers.
I absolutely think it is worth the price of admission. We paid for this vacation. We enjoyed it. We intend to do it again. I understand you're going to have to save up. I think it's worth saving up.
Yeah. And then if you have any questions, now is the time. Like I said, if you're watching on replay, we'll get to those after. But we answered if most people dress for the experience. Did we say what our favorite part of the whole thing was?
Not specifically. It's hard to pick a favorite. Like I say, there are things to me that are very memorable. When I pulled a Jedi mind trick on the stormtroopers, that was amazing.
The very first day when we met SK the first time and asked to interface with him, he made an excitement noise, and then he opened up a little panel and waved at me, and I almost died.
The droid, SK620, is great. He is an R2 unit style droid. He's independent. He roams around the ship. He beeps and boops and it's...
For me, I don't think it was one thing, but kind of one group of things. Anytime when I was playing something interactive, I loved playing the game that was the bridge training, and we got invited back to another bridge event with Wraith later on. Also, when we were in the engineering room playing games like that, I really enjoyed that. Even on your data pad, sometimes you get little puzzles and things to do. I really enjoyed that aspect.
Like Steph said, the bridge is a lot of fun. I enjoyed our time in the Sublight Lounge, especially when it was part of the story. We were having a drink and relaxing, but then the captain comes in and it's all still part of the story.
Yeah. What else?
Lightsaber training was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it very much. I really did feel like I was tapping into my force sensitive powers.
I see that Abby on our team, hi Abby, she's our graphic designer and we love her. She's asking if we could do one thing differently, what would it be? I know what mine is. Do you know what yours is?
No, you go first.
I would dress in the same costume and probably make my costume a little bit more distinctive. I would go in a neutral Galactic Traveler costume, not neutral like earth tones, neutral like not picking sides,
affiliated,
with a bright color or a weird sash. I'd probably wear blue or silver lipstick or something like that and have a very distinctive hairstyle. The first day I actually had this braided mohawk, and then the second day I did the traditional Leia Hoth crown braid, and that wasn't as distinctive. I should have stayed with the first hairstyle, but I would pick one look and stick with it. Even if I was worried about getting sweaty, I'd just make it up with color block pieces from Old Navy and buy 2 cheap shirts.
Doubles.
Buy 2 cheap shirts from the clearance section that were exactly the same, so I could look the same either day. Commit to making the characters remember me.
I know what I would do. So while Steph and I had pre-decided that we wanted to be aligned with the Resistance and the Jedis, in the data pad, instead of choosing the responses that are yes, no further questions, I'm 100% in, I would like to choose some of the options that are positive, that indicate yes.
I'm interested in helping.
I'd like to, because I think it would have branched out into even more story opportunities. There's a very good question here. People are asking if we used our own phones or data pads phones that were provided by Disney. In the very earliest sailing, so right at the start of March when Starcruiser opened to the public, Disney was providing phones to all passengers. There were technical issues with the DataPad app. This was how they could circumvent that and make sure everyone had the right experience. When we sailed, which was sort of late March, you were welcome to use your own device. If you didn't have a device, there were loaners available. And one of the solutions when we were having technical difficulties, we were able to sort it out. But one of the options was, you're having technical difficulties with your phone. Would you like to just trade and use a loaner device? On that note, everybody in your party, unless it's a babe in arms, everybody needs their own device. So if you're going with kids and maybe they're 8 years old and they don't have their own phone, you can get them a loaner, but also it all works over Wi-Fi. And I did see people using tablets, especially younger kids
who have I don't know if it was a leapfrog tablet,
but tablet with a big handle grip case thing.
If you're with like a 3-year-old or something who's not going to do their own data missions and stuff, you just have one for the parent and then make the decisions together.
Right. I should rephrase. Anyone who wants their own story path needs their own data path.
Yeah.
Whether that's a tablet or a phone, whether it's your own or a loaner. The loaners are no charge, but you do. I think there's a deposit,
or you have to sign something that says if you lose it or you don't get it back, you have to pay a fee. So we didn't do it, so I don't have all the details on that. But yeah, it was awesome. It was unlike anything I've ever done. It was one of the most memorable. Danny and I had done a lot of traveling, not just to Disney, all around the world. And we always talk about like, oh, remember that night in Spain when we got stuck on the train in the plains, like literally.
It did not rain.
Or like, do you remember when we went swimming in that lake in Switzerland and those kind of things? This is like core memory stuff. This trip will stay with me forever.
I agree. Extremely unique, extremely entertaining. I want to do it again. When? I don't know. We'll see. But I'd like to do it again.
Yeah, for sure. So that's all we have for today, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you watch on replay and you have questions, just pop them in the comments and we'll be sure to get back to you ASAP. I really appreciate you joining us this Friday afternoon.
Yes, there's going to be more Starcruiser coverage coming to you on our blog, on our social channels, in the magazine.
We already have a bunch of videos up on YouTube, nice little short videos that just look at a little bit of experiences at a time, ship tour, some food, that sort of thing. And we have a bunch of blogs already up, but more are coming. And you don't want to miss our June issue of WDW Magazine. That's going to be our Imagineering issue. And we have a huge feature on Starcruiser. So it's not too late. If you subscribe now, you will be getting the May issue as your first, and then the June issue will be your second issue. And May issue's going to be pretty good too.
May is all about Pixar. It's a wonderful issue.
You can go to shop.wdw publishing to find that, or over to our blog at www-magazine.com, and there's a shop icon up in the top. You can click that and it'll take you right there.
Yep. Make sure you're following us on YouTube, on Instagram, everywhere you can find us on the internet.
TikTok.
At WDW Magazine. This is super fun. Thank you so much. If we didn't get to your question, we'll try and answer it in the comments. But thanks for spending your Friday with us, everyone.
Bye.